Hey everyone! In today's video, I'm going to do a comparison of my 4 luxury work bags: the Louis Vuitton Kensington, the Givenchy Medium Antigona, the Mulberry Zipped Bayswater, and the Senreve Maestra. This video is going to focus on a comparison of these 4 bags and how they function for me as a work bag, along with how they've worn, and I will go into the pros and cons that I've discovered with each. I'm not going to go into an in-depth overview of each of the bags though. I have already created videos on each of the bags, so I will be sure to leave the links to each of those overviews down in the description box below in case you'd like to learn more about the layout of the bag, pricing, color options, sizing, etc. But first, don't forget that if you like this video or find it helpful, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. It really does help me here on my channel and I really do appreciate it. So let me first quickly explain what it is that I'm looking for in a work bag. I do work in a corporate or professional office where it's business casual or better, and I have a tendency to be a little bit more on the dressy side. So I am looking for a bag that looks very polished and put together. I also want to be able to carry all of my everyday essentials, which includes a lot of the typical things: a wallet, my phone, which is an iPhone XS Max, keys, makeup, a catch-all, and a journal. And then sometimes I do have the need to take my laptop with me, especially when I travel, which I travel about 2 times a month. So this is the laptop that I have through work, and it's a 13-inch Dell, and it is a little bit bigger than, say, your standard 13-inch MacBook, and so that's always a consideration for me. So when I travel, not only do I need to be able to take that, but I also need to be able to take my power supply. And I have used each of these bags for at least 3 months of workwear, so I do feel like I've learned a lot about how the bags function and have a pretty good feel about how they're holding up. So now let's go ahead and get started with the first bag. I'm going to go in order of oldest to newest in my collection, and the first luxury work bag that I purchased is my Louis Vuitton Kensington in the damier ebene. I did purchase this full priced from the store, so I knew exactly what I was getting when I purchased it. I've had this bag now for about 1.5 years. So let's start off with the pros of this bag. First of all, I absolutely love the look of this bag. I specifically went in looking for something that was very ladylike, was very professional, and could hold a pretty good bit, and it definitely met all of those objectives for me. It's also quite functional. It has the top handles, which is a lot of times my preferred way to carry a bag. I will either carry it by the top handles or I'll put it in the crook of my arm, but I do want an option to be able to put it on my shoulder, and so this does have the long strap that, you know, when I need to be hands-free, I can. A lot of times though, I just leave it kind of tucked in like that on the bag, and I just think that adds a nice embellishment to the bag and it looks very nice. Because the bag has feet, when you set it down, I don't feel like that puts any kind of undue issue on the strap, so that works well. I also think the function of the interior of the bag works really well. So it is a pretty good size, but there is the center zip compartment which divides it up into basically 3 different spots. And so I've just kind of developed a system for what I put in one side, what I put in the other side, and then the things that I do actually want to be able to keep a little bit more secure in the center zip. That makes getting stuff out of it really, really easy because I know exactly where I'm looking for, and no single compartment is so big that I really have to fish around. This bag is also the lightest of all the bags that I have while it's empty. And obviously with something that you're carrying around on an everyday basis, that's really helpful to have. It's also overall worn really, really well. There's really not any noticeable wear on it in terms of the corners are all intact. The leather, which is a coated leather, which I feel like is a little bit sturdier than, you know, a lot of the other leathers, but that leather is, you know, still in great shape. There's no issue with the glazing. There's no wear on the handle. You know, really everything about it has worn quite well, except for one thing. So we'll kind of start to get into the cons. So you can probably see here that there's a little bit of bowing here and the same on the back. And that happened pretty quickly after I got the bag, and I don't really feel like I was ever overstuffing it. So I've looked online at pre-loved versions of this and some other Louis Vuitton bags that they make that are very similar in style to this, and I think that is just something that you find a lot on this style tote. So it doesn't really bother me. you know, I don't really care that much about that, but I know for some people that is a really big issue. So I kind of mentioned it as a con just because obviously it's not a, you know, not a great thing. The next con is probably a little bit around the price. Because I did choose to purchase this full price, you know, this is a pretty expensive bag for what it is, and probably in terms of value is maybe not quite as good a value as some of the other bags that I have in my collection. And then the other thing that's a con in this bag is it really doesn't accommodate my laptop. So it carries all of my everyday essentials perfectly, and like I said, it's very easy to get things and find things, but it really won't function for my laptop, which I did know when I was getting it, to be fair, so it's not like that's a surprise, but you can only put the laptop in kind of long ways, and you can see how high it sticks up, and so you really don't have room to even grasp it if you kind of needed to by necessity. So when I carry this bag, most of the time I carry bags for, you know, at least a work week at a time, because on the weekends I change into smaller bags typically, and so if I'm going to switch bags, I will switch at the end of the weekend when I'm getting ready for the work week again. So for the most part, when I'm going to carry this, I don't carry it on weeks where I know I'm going to travel. And if for some reason I need to take my laptop home during the week, then I either put it in another pouch or I just hand carry it. You know, got a short commute in my car, so that's not a problem. So it doesn't keep me from carrying it really, but obviously for a work bag, that is just a little bit of a limiter. One other small con with this one that's a consideration for travel is the only part that really does secure is this center zip, which isn't that big, but since it doesn't fit my laptop, I don't travel with it, so that's not an issue for me. But overall, I really love this bag. Then actually, I should just go ahead and put out there, I love all four of my bags. They all are great bags that I plan on keeping in my collection, and none of them are perfect. So there's at least one con with all of them, and that would be the ones on this one. The next bag that I added to my collection is the Givenchy Medium Antigona in this tri-color. And this color combination just got me from the start. I had been interested in an Antigona actually when I was looking at my Kensington and had looked at them in the store, and some of the cons about it just kept me from getting it, and I got the Kensington instead. But when I was searching online on some pre-loved sites, I found this one on Fashion File and immediately fell in love with the colors, and therefore decided I would go ahead and add this one to my collection. So I did buy this pre-loved, so it already had a little bit of wear and issue, and I go into all of those details a lot more in my original video on this bag if you want to know about that. So I'll just really focus on kind of the wear since I got the bag. And I've had this bag now for about a year. But because I bought it pre-loved, I did get it much less than it goes full price. It was less than half of what they go full price. So I feel like the value that I got for this bag is really good. And it's an all leather bag. So in addition to just really loving the looks of this bag, once again, it has some of the things that I really like. It has top handles and it has a strap that allow me to throw it over my shoulder when I do want to be able to be hands-free. It also fits probably more in it than any of the other bags that I have. I mean, it is just a huge cavern in there. So that will be a con as well, but you know, I can pretty much put anything I need to in here, including my laptop, including all of my everyday essentials. And when I'm traveling, you know, maybe I throw in a water bottle and some snacks and some other stuff that I don't always just carry. And this can just kind of keep taking it. Another plus for this bag is that it does fully zip. So all of the contents that I put in here are very secure. So now we'll start to talk about some of the cons. And so for me, the wear on this bag has been okay. So maybe this isn't quite a con, but more kind of a neutral. This is all more of a smooth leather, and typically smoother leathers just wear more than textured leathers or treated or coated leathers. And so I have had a little bit of rubbing on the handles on here and here, and that's definitely wear that I've put on it and not how it came. But other than that, I'm not really seeing any other noticeable wear on the bag, and it's, you know, very, very sturdy and held up quite well. It is the heaviest of all of the bags that I have, and this is where that con comes in a little bit. Since you can pile so much in it, it gets really, really heavy. And I have a tendency to kind of take up all the room that I have, so I have been traveling with this before, and like I will get sore if I'm having to walk a long ways with this bag. So the strap very much is a necessity. It's not the most functional strap in the world, which is another con. You know, it's not very long, so the bag does kind of hang at an awkward place, so I don't like the way it looks when I wear it with the strap. I only do that when I really feel like it's a necessity. So there's a couple more cons that kind of have to do with the design of the bag and the way the zipper works. So the first one being that even though it's so big, it's a little tight sometimes to get things in, especially when I have my laptop in here. You know, just maneuvering in and around means, you know, it's a little bit hard for me to get stuff in and out quickly. But if I'm traveling and I need to carry a lot, it's fine. You know, I'd rather deal with that than not have the space. The other con is once you have this loaded, when you carry this by the strap, if I'm not like actually in a crowded place, a lot of times I don't bother to zip my bags up. And because of the way that this is designed, once you have a lot of weight, this kind of pulls, and so it ends up giving the bag kind of a even more awkward shape, and I just don't love that. So for those reasons, I really only carry it by the top handles unless I really feel like I need to carry it by the strap. But I do love this bag, and I have no intention of getting rid of it in my collection, and I always get tons and tons of compliments and questions about this bag when I wear it. The next bag that I added to my collection is the Mulberry Zipped Bayswater, and this is just the regular size. They also come in small, mini, and maybe a nano, but this is just zipped Bayswater. There is no other size designation. And I recently became aware that at least on the Mulberry website, they no longer have this bag listed. So you may have to go the pre-loved route if you are interested in this bag. I have mine in the oxblood color in a nice textured leather. And I've had this bag now for about 9 months. And I did get this bag new from the website, but I did get it at a pretty good discount. It was around Black Friday sales, I think. And so, you know, it was quite a generous discount. Probably because they were starting to phase it out, but I didn't know that at the time, which wouldn't have kept me from getting it. But with this being an all leather bag, for the price that I paid, this is really, really great value for this bag. So as we get into the pros, this bag to me is probably the nicest of all the bags that I have in terms of the craftsmanship, the quality of the materials used, the detailing, all of that. This bag looks very expensive when you look at it, when you touch it, when you feel it. It just looks like a luxury handbag to me. This too has the double handle, which I like, and these are actually long enough that I can put it up on my shoulder, so I don't need a separate strap, which is a nice touch to not have, you know, that additional strap to have to deal with. So it is very functional in that way for me. It does zip at the top, so I can travel with this and it keeps all of my contents secure. And with that, I also can fit my laptop in here and be able to get all of my everyday essentials plus the laptop and charger and all of that in here. So this actually works really well. And it's actually probably the easiest bag for me to travel with or to put my laptop in because it has such a generous opening that when I put my laptop in, I still have plenty of room to be able to look for the other things and pull them out. And the laptop itself is very easy because the sides actually come out. So I do have that full space to be able to get my laptop in and out. So if I'm worried about being able to get in and out of it very, very quickly, this is a great bag for me to go for. In terms of wear, this bag has done great. I see no visible signs of wear on this bag, and I really don't expect to either. With the textured leather, it, you know, probably won't show very minor things, minor abrasions and things that could happen to it. But I also feel like the leather is a very thick quality. You know, it's probably maybe a 6-ounce grain leather, and leather like that just has a tendency to work really well. There is no corner wear on it whatsoever. All the glazing looks really, really good. The handles still look fresh. So once again, that kind of goes back to the value of just how nice this bag is. The wear has just been impeccable, and I just think it's part of that overall great quality of the bag. So when it comes to cons, I really don't have a lot for this bag. The one thing is I wish it was just a smidge bigger because when I travel, unlike the Antigona where I can fit in, you know, the water bottle and the snacks and all of that. I can't quite do that with this bag, or it kind of has to, you know, stick out the side. So, you know, that's a little bit of a nuisance. The weight of this bag is a little bit on the heavy side. It's almost as heavy as the Antigona, so the weight is a little bit of another con with this bag. One other slight con of this one, which is also a con of the Antigona, and I neglected to mention it, but, you know, if I'm going to travel with this zipped, I don't have any kind of exterior pocket or anything to be able to stick my phone into, which is absolutely not a necessity, but it is just kind of a nice to have. And personally, I'll just say, I think Mulberry bags are underrated, especially here in the US. So I absolutely plan to keep carrying this bag, loving this bag, and I expect, you know, 40 years, 50 years from now, it'll still look this good. And the last bag that I'm going to share is my Senreve Maestra bag, and this is the newest bag to my collection. I've had this bag now for I think a little over 4 months. And this bag is actually the least expensive bag out of all of them in my collection, both in the original price, which comes in under $1,000, and then I actually got mine on a sale that they were doing, and so I got mine even less than that. And Senreve is a bit of a new company, and they try very hard to make very functional bags, and I go into all of that once again in the video on this bag. So if you want to learn more about that, then feel free to check down in the description box for the link to that video. But because of that, this bag has been designed, I think, in some really clever ways to make it a very functional bag, which it has been a very functional bag for me. And it's actually the bag that I'm carrying right now, so it does have some of my stuff in it. So if it seemed like it's a little bit heavy, that's because there's a few things in here. I emptied some things out, but not all of it. So first of all, they did make it out of a grained leather. It comes in several different leathers, but all of them are textured or grained in some way. And they made it in such a way that it is lighter than a lot of other leather bags out there. So this one is lighter than my Givenchy and my Mulberry bag by a pretty good bit. It is not lighter though than my Kensington, but that one's mostly canvas, so you wouldn't expect it to be lighter. They also designed it in such a way that you can wear it 4 different ways. You have the top handle that you can either, you know, carry or put in the crook of your arm. Then it also has the long strap, so you can carry it on your shoulder, crossbody, or you can actually pull the straps down and through and be able to carry it as a backpack. And I'm not a backpack kind of girl, but I actually have found that I do like to carry it as a backpack sometimes, especially when I'm traveling. So I think the functionality of how you can wear the bag is really a strong suit of this bag. The quality also is really, really nice. This leather is a very good quality. You know, this has worn really well. It's got the feet on the bottom. They actually still have the blue plastic on them that I've never taken off. But you know, this leather just does not show any kind of signs of wear. Now, because it's light, it can pick up stains, and so that's a color choice, not really indicative of the wear of the bag. So I have just a couple of little spots on here. One of them actually came on it when I got it because it was kind of a lightly used sale. They'd used it like in an ad or a pop-up store or something, so they had pointed out that little mark right there, and I think I have like one more little mark, and I haven't really tried very hard to take those off. So wear of the bag has been great. It also works for my laptop, which is what I was going for when I got this. So it's got the nice big compartments, and then it does have some additional compartments along the side that you can put things. So like this one back here, I actually like to put my notebook back here so it doesn't get bent up with other things. If you have a smaller laptop than I have, like a MacBook, you could put your MacBook back there, but my laptop doesn't quite fit. But then you have these other compartments, so that way you really can organize things and keep them from kind of just going down at the bottom of your bag. So I think that's a great touch. It's also a very secure bag. In addition to having the flap, you do have a zipper as well, so if you are really concerned about someone getting into your bag, you can kind of doubly close this one up. I do have some significant cons with this bag. I love this bag. I have been carrying it almost solid since I got it, so it's not kept me from wearing it, but they are significant enough cons that I want to make sure to share that in the video. The first is, this bag is kind of a pain in the ass to get in and out of. It is hard to do this one-handed. I sometimes have done it one-handed, but it's hard to loop this through, get that to go down there, pull that through, and then be able to shove that. And I mentioned earlier, I don't always secure my bag, close it, which I don't feel like I would need to do here either, except because of the design of the bag, if you're just holding it by the top handle or by the strap, it gapes open if you don't have it closed. The zipper, likewise, is hard to be able to close because you have to pull the flap out of the way and actually zip it. So I don't think I've ever zipped it. I only close it like this. And I do pretty much make sure that I always close it because I just don't like the way it looks when it's not closed. Because of that, it is really important for me to have a pocket on the outside that I can put my phone, because it is just not easy enough to get in and out of here. So they do have a pocket in the back, and so that's a great place to have it. You might be able to notice this is probably the one piece of wear, I didn't mention it earlier, but I would say the one piece of wear is this is stretched out, and that's because I put my phone in it, and it's not really quite big enough to put my phone in without stretching it out. So I can get my phone back there, and that's what I do. And then once I do, it makes it really easy to get access to my phone, but that has stretched out that pocket. So I wish either the pocket was a little bit bigger or the bag was easier to get in and out of. No, I wish the bag was easier to get in and out of anyway, even if this pocket was a little bit bigger. So if you've got kind of a similar mentality to me, just keep that in mind. I did have someone mention that they were interested in thinking about this bag as a diaper bag. Because of how hard it is to get in and out, I feel like this probably wouldn't make a great diaper bag, because if you need a diaper bag, then you probably also don't always have a lot of hands. You need to be moving quickly, and I just think this would be too fiddly. So those are my cons with this bag, but I really do love it, and I have recommended it to a friend who's also been thinking about this bag. And I just really like being able to support this company. So now that I've reviewed each of the bags and discussed the pros and cons, can you guess which bag is my favorite? Well, it's hard for me to actually choose a favorite. So I'm looking at it in terms of if all of these bags disappeared out of my collection for one reason or another and I could only replace with one, which one would I replace with? And it would be the Mulberry Zipped Bayswater. Just overall, this is the most usable, functional bag for me. Feels like the best value and just is a look that I really, really love. So this is the one that I would replace if for some reason I lost all four of the bags. And then likewise, if I had to get rid of one of the bags, lose one of the bags, it would probably be this one, which is actually kind of funny to say because I've been carrying it for almost every single workday for like 4 months now. But you know, the functionality just probably has the biggest con, and it would probably be this one. But would I repurchase it knowing what I know now? Yes, I would repurchase it knowing what I know now were money not an object and I needed to. So what's your favorite work bag? And do you need to carry a laptop in it? I'd love to get your suggestions. Please feel free to leave those down in the comment section below. I will probably end up adding another work bag option at some point, although I don't have any timing that I'm looking for it. I am a little bit looking at the Celine mini luggage. I know that's another heavy bag, so we'll see if I end up doing that. I would go the pre-loved route if I ended up doing that. But I hope you found this video helpful. If you haven't already given me a thumbs up, I'd really appreciate if you do that before you leave. And also, if you enjoy videos on fashion, beauty, home, and Christmas, then I'd also love for you to subscribe if you're not already. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye.